Imagine trying to read a set of highly complex architectural blueprints, right? You're trying to figure out how this massive building is put together.
Right.
But the ink on the page, it just keeps shifting, like it's erasing and rearranging itself while you're literally looking
Oh,
right at it.
God, yeah.
That is exactly what consuming international news feels like right now.
It really does. It's impossible to pin down.
It is. And, for today's deep dive, we have this really dense, newly released Associated Press report in front of us. It's detailing this massive military escalation across the Persian Gulf. And the situation on the ground is just, it's changing faster than the headlines can even keep up.
Yeah, the ink is definitely still wet on this one.
Exactly. So our mission today for you, our listener, is to cut through all that noise. We're taking a completely unique approach to staying well-informed here. We are going to decode the complex geopolitics of this Middle Eastern conflict by focusing on the specific English vocabulary the journalists actually chose to use.
Which is such a great way to look at it because, the words journalists deploy in these high-stakes reports, they're never accidental.
Right.
They're these incredibly precise tools. They're designed to convey the scale, the intent, and honestly, the sheer physical reality of a conflict.
Totally.
So when you unpack that high-level English news vocabulary, you don't just, memorize the statistics of a war. You actually start to understand its mechanics.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really grasp the current chaos sweeping across the region, we have to look at the inciting incidents first, right?
Yes, saddlest.
Exactly. So the AP report states that U.S. and Israeli strikes have killed a slew of Tehran's top leaders and hammered its weapons and energy industries over the last 3 weeks.
Slew of and hammered. Those are heavy words.
Right. Notice how the journalist uses a slew of instead of giving us a specific casualty count for the leadership.
Right. They don't say 5 leaders or 10 leaders.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they're doing that to convey this overwhelming, almost unquantifiable, sudden loss. It implies this rapid decapitation of leadership that just leaves an organization totally reeling.
Absolutely.
And then we get to the verb hammered. The text says Iran's weapons and energy industries were hammered.
That is a highly specific, very, very evocative verb choice. It paints a completely distinct picture of the kinetic reality on the ground.
Yeah, and I want to look at the mechanics of why a journalist pulls that specific word out of their toolbox. Obviously, we know what hammered means in everyday life.
Sure.
But in a geopolitical context, it implies a relentless, destructive rhythm. It's like an analogy to a demolition crew hitting the load-bearing pillars of a structure until the whole thing just shakes and loses its structural integrity.
Right.
Because they didn't say the industries were destroyed or erased, which would imply the buildings are just gone.
Exactly. Hammered suggests the infrastructure might actually still be standing, but it has been systematically degraded by repeated heavy blows.
Yeah, pounded into uselessness.
It implies functional compromise, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the objective numbers provided in the AP report to understand the sheer scale of the kinetic destruction that actually justifies a violent verb like that.
Right, the human cost.
Yeah, the human cost reported alongside this vocabulary is just staggering. The text notes that more than 1,300 people have been killed in Iran during this specific period of the conflict.
Wow.
And looking at the other side of the border, 15 people have been killed in Israel by Iranian missile fire, and 4 people were killed in the occupied West Bank by a missile strike. So the journalist uses a word like hammered to mentally prepare the reader for the sheer asymmetry of the physical destruction,
Yeah, and the resulting human toll. Which brings us to the cause and effect driving this entire crisis. Iran's physical infrastructure is severely compromised, like we said. They've taken massive casualties. So what is the mechanical response? The text says that Iran steps up attacks on Israel and Gulf energy sites.
Yeah, stepping up. That phrase perfectly captures the retaliatory cycle. But what is truly vital to understand here is the underlying psychological warfare regarding the timing of this escalation.
Oh, the timing is wild.
It is. The report notes that Iran is firing these missiles and launching these drones precisely as many in the region are marking one of the holiest days on the Muslim calendar, as well as Nowruz, the Persian New Year.
The juxtaposition there is deeply jarring.
It really is.
You have Nowruz, right, a festival that's historically rooted in the celebration of spring, renewal, new beginnings.
Families gathering.
Exactly. Families are gathering, people are marking this holiday, and simultaneously air raid sirens are just blaring and explosions are echoing over Tehran.
Yeah. And the decision to elevate the intensity of military action during these specific cultural and religious moments, that is a recognized, deliberate tactic.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. It ensures maximum visibility and maximum disruption to the societal fabric. So the English phrase stepping up, in this context, it points to a calculated choice to shatter civilian morale. They are consciously elevating the war to a higher, more intense level during a period of extreme cultural sensitivity. They know that ruining a holiday creates a lingering, visceral, psychological impact on the population.
That makes a lot of sense. But because their conventional military infrastructure has been physically degraded because it has been hammered, they can't necessarily fight a traditional symmetric war anymore.
No, they have to adapt.
Right. They have to change their target. And the text details how they are retaliating by shifting their focus toward the veins of the global economy.
They are targeting the economic lifelines of the Gulf.
Exactly. The AP report details 2 massive waves of Iranian drones attacking the Mina al-Ahmadi oil refinery in Kuwait.
Which is huge.
It's massive. To put the scale of that facility into perspective for you, that refinery processes roughly 730,000 barrels of oil every single day.
Yeah, it is a cornerstone of West Asian energy production.
It is. And on top of that, Bahrain's Interior Ministry reported a warehouse fire stemming from intercepted projectile shrapnel. And Saudi Arabia reported shooting down drones targeting its intensely oil-rich eastern province.
So we are looking at a vast geographic spread of targets here. Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia.
It's everywhere.
It is a regional blanket of pressure.
Yeah. And the journalist described the impact of these regional strikes with 2 very powerful English phrases. The report says these attacks are choking off oil supplies and scrambling the global economy.
2 very distinct visuals.
Totally. Let's look at choking off first. It is such a visceral metaphor. I mean, it personifies the global supply chain as a living, breathing organism that is suddenly having its literal air supply forcefully restricted by a hand around its throat.
Yeah, it's very aggressive language.
It is, but the second word is the one I really, really want to dig into. Why scrambling?
Ah, yeah. That is a crucial distinction in financial and geopolitical reporting because, words like hurting or damaging, those are passive outcomes.
Like after the fact.
Exactly. A storm damages a roof, or inflation hurts a wallet.
Yeah.
You suffer those things, and then you just assess the aftermath. Scrambling, however, is an active, ongoing state of sudden, forced chaos.
Oh.
Think about the military context. If fighter jets are scrambled, it means pilots are literally running to their planes in a frantic, unscheduled rush to intercept the sudden threat.
Okay, wait, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
Is scrambling the economy actually a deliberate, calculated chess move by Iran? Or is it just like a byproduct of a military that is losing badly and just lashing out blindly at whatever targets are closest?
Well, it is the defining feature of asymmetric warfare.
Okay.
When your own infrastructure is hammered, you don't need to win a conventional military victory to level the playing field. You just have to introduce sudden, unpredictable chaos into your opponent's most vulnerable, complex systems.
Just break the machine.
Right. Scrambling the economy forces the entire global market into a frantic rush to reorder itself. We're talking about the actual mechanics of global trade here. When a 730,000 barrel a day refinery is threatened, maritime shipping companies instantly panic.
They have to.
They have to reroute their massive tankers away from the Strait of Hormuz, which adds weeks to transit times. Lloyd's of London and other maritime insurers, they instantly spike their premium rates for vessels entering the Gulf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, commodities traders in London and New York recalculate their risk models in real time, causing crude prices to just fluctuate wildly.
So scrambling is essentially the weaponization of uncertainty.
Precisely. It's a weaponized chaos.
Yeah.
And what is profoundly telling is what this says about Iran's enduring capabilities.
Yeah.
The AP report explicitly states that there is an extreme information void coming out of Iran right now. It is not clear to the international community exactly how much damage their arms, nuclear, or energy facilities have actually sustained.
We're totally in the dark.
We don't even have a clear picture of who is fully calling the shots at the highest levels of their military. Yet, despite that lack of internal transparency, their ability to force a scramble across the global economy proves they maintain immense disruptive leverage.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because that information void, That's where the texture of this reporting gets incredibly surreal.
Oh, yeah.
The physical chaos on the ground across the Gulf is matched by this rapid, almost hallucinatory sequence of developments within Iran itself. The text gives us a perfect encapsulation of the fog of war.
The contradiction in the AP's timeline is just striking.
It's crazy. Okay, so the report quotes a spokesman for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, General Ali Mohammed Naini.
Right.
He was quoted in the state-run Iran newspaper speaking with absolute defiance. He stated that producing missiles during wartime conditions is amazing and that there is zero problem stockpiling them.
Very confident.
Very. He explicitly added that Iran has absolutely no intention of seeking a quick end to the war.
Right. He was projecting total, unshakable resolve to the domestic populace.
But, and this is the wild part, the report notes that just a short time after that defiant statement hit the newsstands, Iranian state television announced that General Naini himself was killed in an airstrike.
Yeah.
It's giving me absolute linguistic whiplash. It's like the geopolitical equivalent of a sports fan getting a massive championship winner's tattoo on their chest the day before their team loses the final game by 40 points.
That's exactly it.
As a reader consuming this news, you are processing absolute, guaranteed defiance and sudden violent death in the exact same paragraph.
And that whiplash is exactly what modern warfare looks like when condensed into a newswire. It reviews the terrifying speed of contemporary conflict.
So fast.
A high-ranking official can leverage the media to project strength and stability. And before the public has even finished reading his quote over their morning coffee, the tactical reality on the ground has permanently removed him from the board.
It's gone.
It completely shatters the illusion of control.
It really does. It makes you question the stability and relevance of any official statement coming out of the region right now. Like, if the speaker might not survive the afternoon, what does the speech even matter?
Well, in the wake of that specific instability, the text introduces a statement from the country's new supreme leader, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei.
Right.
And it is framed by the journalists as a rare statement,
Right.
which immediately signals its importance.
Yeah, you pay attention to that.
He stated that Iran's enemies need to have their security taken away. And the heavy use of that specific English word security in diplomatic and military rhetoric carries massive weight.
I want to know the mechanics of that, because saying you are going to take away someone's security sounds very different than just saying, we're going to bomb your cities.
It does.
How does the removal of security actually function on the ground?
So in everyday conversation, security might just mean a locked door or a strong password.
Mm-hmm.
But in high-level geopolitical English, security encompasses the entire psychological, economic, and structural foundation of a sovereign nation. It is the invisible guarantee that allows a society to function. When a leader vows to deny their enemies security, they are promising a specific type of sustained psychological and economic warfare. Got it. Mechanically, this looks like forcing millions of civilians into bomb shelters multiple times a day. It means local businesses cannot open, supply chains freeze, and foreign investors pull their capital out of the country because the risk is just too high.
It's the economic drain of defense.
It is a massive drain. Every time an air raid siren goes off, the local economy essentially stops. Furthermore, defensive systems like the Iron Dome cost exorbitant amounts of money to operate.
Right. Those interceptors aren't cheap.
Not at all. Firing interceptor missiles to shoot down incoming threats burns through state resources at an unsustainable rate. Taking away security is a vow to replace the normalcy of daily life with perpetual anxiety and financial hemorrhage.
Wow. And unfortunately, the vocabulary chosen by the AP journalists shows us that this loss of security, this cascading violence, it refuses to stay contained to just the primary actors.
No, it spreads.
The web is expanding rapidly. The report uses a very specific verb to describe Israel's military actions. It says Israel has broadened its attacks into Syria.
We need to look closely at the implications of broadened.
Right, because the journalist could have just said the conflict continued or escalated.
Right.
But broadened implies a geographic and demographic spillover. Think about spilling a glass of water on a wooden table. The water doesn't just sit in a neat puddle.
No, it spreads out.
Exactly. It seeks out new cracks, it runs toward the edges, it expands its footprint until it ruins things that were nowhere near the original spill. And the text specifies that Israel hit infrastructure in Syria in response to attacks on the minority Druze population in the southern Swida province.
The vocabulary of expansion words like broadened is used to mentally prepare the reader for the devastating list of multinational casualties that immediately follows in the report.
It's a tough list to read.
This is where the abstract concept of a widening war meets the grim reality of the mechanics on the ground.
Let's look at the actual numbers the text provides to illustrate this broadening. Israeli strikes in Lebanon have displaced more than 1 million people, according to the Lebanese government, which says more than 1,000 people have been killed.
Staggering.
Israel says it has killed more than 500 Hezbollah militants. And moving beyond the immediate borders, at least 13 U.S. military members have been killed in this wider regional conflict.
What's fascinating here is how it is a cascading tragedy that is crossing multiple sovereign borders. But there is one specific detail in the AP report that perfectly encapsulates the profound human tragedy of broadening a conflict.
The incident in Riyadh.
Yes. The report notes, via information from the Indian embassy in New Delhi, that an Indian citizen died in an Iranian missile strike that hit the Saudi Arabian capital of Riyadh.
It's just terrible.
Diplomatic sources believe this Indian national died after being hit by falling missile debris.
An Indian citizen living and working in Saudi Arabia killed by debris from an Iranian missile.
This is the ultimate tragic mechanical reality of a conflict that has broadened. We often think of wars as defined by the uniforms people wear or the national borders they live within.
Right, like it's contained.
But modern globalized economies don't look like that. The Gulf region relies heavily on a massive international workforce.
Yeah.
Here you have an expatriate from India, likely in Riyadh, to earn a living for their family back home, completely removed from the historical and geopolitical grievances between Tehran and Tel Aviv, and they are killed by falling debris.
It's heartbreaking.
It demonstrates how modern conflicts ensnare global citizens regardless of their involvement. When a war broadens, the geographic crossfire simply expands to swallow people who had absolutely no part in the dispute.
It's a sobering reality check. It anchors all of these high-level diplomatic and military terms in the fragile human reality of a globalized world.
The English language used in international news is the bridge between the reader sitting at home and the lethal mechanics operating on the ground.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. We started with the dense, shifting blueprint of an Associated Press report on the escalating crisis in the Persian Gulf.
We did.
But by taking the time to dissect the high-level English news vocabulary words and phrases like hammered, a slew of, stepping up, choking off, scrambling, and broadened, we've unlocked a much deeper, far more nuanced understanding of this highly complex geopolitical crisis.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? It means that mastering the specific English used in international news is your superpower.
It really is.
It allows you to cut through the deafening noise of the 24-hour news cycle. It allows you to actively comprehend the gravity, the intent, and the mechanical scale of world events without feeling overwhelmed or numb to the dry statistics.
Right. You see past the numbers.
Exactly. You aren't just reading that things are generally bad. You understand exactly how the infrastructure is degrading, why the military actors are making their specific tactical choices, and the specific ways the economic chaos is rippling across the globe to affect shipping lanes and foreign workers.
It elevates your consumption of information from passive reading to active mechanical comprehension. But, before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a completely new thought to mull over regarding this high-level vocabulary.
Oh, lay it on us.
This raises an important question. We spent this entire deep dive analyzing how we as human readers process words like hammered and scrambling to understand the mechanics of the war.
Right.
But humans aren't the only ones reading the Associated Press newswire.
Wait, what do you mean?
In our modern financial system, algorithmic trading bots and high-frequency AI models are scanning these exact articles the millisecond they are published.
Wow. They are reading the news before we even open the app.
They are. So I want you to think about this. How does a financial algorithm react when it parses the word scrambling next to the words Mina Al-Amadi oil refinery?
Oh, man.
These AI models don't feel empathy for the casualties, and they don't appreciate the irony of General Nayini's final quote.
No, of course not.
They simply recognize the English vocabulary of sudden, unpredictable chaos, and they execute massive, market-shifting trades based purely on those verbs.
That is terrifying.
Moving forward, as warfare and technology continue to evolve, how much of our global economic stability is being dictated not by the actual missiles hitting the ground, but by how a machine interprets the specific English words a journalist chooses to describe the explosion.
It makes you wonder if that architectural blueprint we talked about at the beginning isn't just shifting for us. Maybe the building is fundamentally changing shape based on how the machines are reading the ink.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.